In a world where hopium and common sense collide, starring the CryptoKeeper and BlockchainCrusader. Welcome to Debate Crypto.
Question everything, trust nothing. It's your boy BlockchainCrusader here with CVO and Magic Internet Money. What's up, guys? How's it going?
Doing good, man. How are you? Always a pleasure to be back on the Debate Crypto scene.
They love having you guys on. Love the TA. So you guys know it's TA Thursday, guys. We're gonna get down in the gritty. 14K for Bitcoin to win, right? That's what we're all waiting for here to load up the trucks, right?
Hey, we refer to 14K as something else, okay?
The devil's basement. That's right. The devil's basement. So yeah, guys. Like always, you guys are love having you guys on the show. So no point in doing a market overwatch. We're having a little bit of a pump today. Bitcoin's been holding that 20K level, just ranging between 19, 20. So the show's all yours, right? What's going on? What's going on with Bitcoin? What's going on in general? What should we be expecting?
You always skip the market update when Nick's not here, man. Jeez.
Don't need it, man. It's TA Thursday. Don't need it. It's TA Thursday.
I'm just kidding, yeah.
I'll take it. As far as time goes and price, like what we were working off of, if you recall when we had that show with Gareth, and then let me get my screen up real quick and we'll kind of talk through it where we're bouncing from. Get off these day trading charts real quick here. And we'll get over to Bitstamp. But in reality, you're bouncing from a nice 1-to-1 and a channel that you're in. So timing is, like we were talking about, looking for reversal sometime the week of the 20th. That's where we're at now. So we are getting a little bit of that action. Just a screen share about that.
The old week of the 20th.
So in terms of this here, we were looking for the week of the 20th. Usually that's a pretty big week for Bitcoin in general. But this would be your fib time pivot, and this was the channel we were looking when we were on the show last time, if you recall, and it came down and tapped it really nicely here. We've gotten a back test. Does that mean full-blown reversal, bear market's over type thing? No, but it does mean you can't be looking for shorts down here. You have to be looking for potential reasons to take a position. You mentioned the 20K level specifically. That is a level of interest to me. The level I've been giving is 20,688.50. Gave that level the same day that we were on here 2 weeks ago. It's a high time frame average of price, and it's actually turned into the point of control of our overall range since moving down to these levels. So it's really been just an absolutely key level to be working off of. Pull that one up. It is an old yearly pivot. I think CVO has talked about it on your show before even. But this is the level, 20,680.50. So living above this gives you the opportunity to come back and back test some old week averages up here, or you get a nice swing player pattern. Best trade up here is a short. And as we mentioned last night in our members update, you have to have locked in at least 2 take profits already. You can still eyeball for the lows here, looking for these other supports if you get a second opportunity. But really can't be looking for shorts in this area just because you can get a lot of chop. Now, in terms of closures, which we're going to actually do some today, potentially that we haven't done yet. If you look at this level again on like a daily time frame now, you can see that this has been the level that's been really kind of holding price back the last few days. So it's been closing right at it, really butting up against it. So what you want to see here is price holding this level and making a move. One thing you mentioned that we will talk about is how we do day trading, things like that. So again, we come back to the volume and the footprint chart for us. A lot of that stuff is what we're going to be doing. And today when the move did kick off, it did start as a short squeeze. So this was just, funding rates were negative. There's a lot of people that were selling. You run into interest just coming off the price, showing you that, net shorts are getting right now. So you can see that the move itself, eventually the music will stop on it. But right about up in here, you can see overall, you've now got buyers coming into the market. You have open interest in going up, and that is a good sign. So as long as the price will continue up, the issue is that a lot of these buyers are now stepping in after the move is already extended. So I'm not really a breakout buyer. I'm not one of those people. Ranges eventually do break, but the issue is it's not really in your favor statistically to be buying as the move is extending like this. You're really having to time the breakout then. And so generally these people are not rewarded, and you will expect some kind of a flush at some point to, reset the open interest. And that does occur. You did a nice high that was put in, but you've not through in sellers yet. So you had a really nice high that came in here. You can see that you've knocked off a good fair amount of open interest. You can see that there are sellers stepping in, but there are still buyers defending this level. So it's going to chop around up here for a little bit. And really, if it's going to break up from here, it'll probably re-challenge that 21.6 high, maybe a little bit higher to like 22 and some change. If buyers can't keep this move going and sellers do start to move in and the open interest picks up on that side, this will flush. And if it does, you really want to be watching the level we were just talking about, 20,688.50. That's also going to be your daily value area high as of right now, which will be the previous day tomorrow. We know a couple things, statistically speaking, that if we close outside of that session and we find acceptance back in the next day, especially in text, the move will probably be fairly quick. You've got a really 75% chance likelihood of hitting the point of control. And then it's about a 50-50 on the daily value area low. But in this instance, with the context, I would be willing to take that trade. So for me, it's just about being patient right now and not jumping into a trade just to be in one. So if you weren't in the short from the move already at 21.6 earlier in the week, there's really no point in gambling, I guess is the word I'll use on that. But the move up was pretty nice and predictable. You actually had a really nice one-to-one extension here in time. So this is just an extension of time here from the high to the low. And what you'll notice came in exactly at the one-to-one of the move, meaning that in correlation to the move down, this move up was of equal length. Okay, so that's all that means. So that gave you a really nice, kind of like a reflexive, like a band. You stretch your rubber band, it has to come back. One-to-one in time are going to give you that pivot in time to kind of time the market a little bit. It doesn't give you a crystal ball, but it gives you an idea of when you might expect a reversal, things like that. So hopefully that answers some questions.
So those the short time frames, right? For a trade between 21 and the levels that we're at right now. In the longer time frames, are you guys still seeing anything about the 14K? A lot of people are focused on this number now, 14K. Is that still in the charts? Is still like on the table, or is that like it's getting, the longer we hold this 20, the less likely we are to break down? What do you guys think?
I think we have a bounce from this reason, mean reversal. So I do think just like at 25K we bounced, we hung around there for like a month, a little, I think. So I would take it, week by week in this instance. There's a lot of people that are being a little more cavalier than some other people, saying, the bottom's in, and that's cool. And if they're buying down here, well, they're in profits. So hopefully they do secure some of those over time. But I don't, just based on policy that's out that we know right now, the information we have right now says price can still go lower. For me, I'll remain hedged and, trade along the way. I think if we're going to get those numbers like, 10K, 14K, those really like doomsday, I think it comes in the latter of the year. I think there is time to put in a good size rally. And but does that mean all-time highs? No. And one of the big reasons is because when you go back and you actually look at the price action that we put in on this top, this isn't like a normal Bitcoin top. I think everyone knows that at this point. This was a cycle that was unique unto itself. Hopefully you guys can see my screen. I didn't ask there, but you can see here that this was pretty quick. This right here, this was quick. This was almost, 15 to 18 months before breaking down. So even if price does rebound and come back up here and really test this area, there's a lot of resistance here. Whereas in, cycle past, this was a fairly, quick area. Once we were through it, it was support, stab back through, and then back up. And the only thing that really held you down right here for, 100 was that you had put in so much work in this region. The same thing could be said for this whole area now on the chart. So as soon as you start hitting, levels like 32K, there's going to be quite a bit of tests there. I think even going up to 40.3K would be a big level for me. I just don't see any kind of like turnaround in the immediate that would just push us to all-time highs or anything. Do I think that some fantastic trades could occur over time? Absolutely. But you know, you got to go with the trend, and the trend right now, both economically and in Bitcoin, I say economically and separate them, but Bitcoin's following traditional markets right now. So you got to look at this and say downside is definitely more possible. You could still get another flush coming back into these major support areas. Doesn't mean don't buy if you're investing. You know, this is not financial advice. It just means you have to be aware of the risks. You know.
Yeah, dude, definitely. I definitely agree. Right, things are definitely uncertain. To have a major upswing anytime soon, something very huge would have to happen, and I just don't foresee any catalyst events happening just yet. There's just nothing in the works. The sentiment is way too bearish for even a catalyst event to have some type of spark in the markets. So I do agree that we're probably going to be, you know, sideways and downward is part of the more likely scenario. Could it be a slow bleed? Could it be another massive drop? Again, who knows? But guys, if you haven't smashed the likes, smash the likes. What was that?
I say if it's going to be a massive drop, it's going to need time to reset opinion, kind of like it did at 25K. You know, it reset, and then all of a sudden it tested up. Everyone got excited, and then it just dropped the floor. You know.
Yeah.
Everybody was a little caught off, I guess, by that one, but.
Yeah, 100%.
I will say though that I feel that, you know, many, which, you know, either way you will, like, Magic is kind of this, you know, displayed there, like we're prepared for either way. If you're in long-term investing, obviously, you know, you probably would have prayed for 20K, 19K, under 1,000, at $1,000 ETH, things of that nature.
Exactly.
And just kind of going on a devil's advocate here, while we're, you know, on the staircase down to the basement, is, you know, I think that Ethereum has really got everybody really worked up with Bitcoin, because Ethereum plowed right through its all-time, you know, and so it's one of those scenarios where I think that a lot of focus is put on the two of them having to act and react the same, which they, you know, tend to, you know, over time. However, Ethereum totally outperformed Bitcoin on the way up in the sense of, you know, percentage gain. So on the way down, you know, certain areas were different. I know we came back into, you know, people were looking at the 200 weekly moving average. While that is around 22,000 for Bitcoin, that's pretty much also right at about 1,000, 1,100 for ETH. So you pretty much have reset the playing field in a sense in that region. I think that everybody's super hyper focused on the market has to go down 85% because that's what they, you know, we've always seen. Coming from, you know, somebody who was a pretty big advocate of the 4-year cycle up until December 1st, right? Like, I think you really have to throw any of that out the window at this point, man. And not any of it, but yes. it's hard to, you know, it's so contradicting, I think, in the sense of if you're going to go with just those kind of metrics to say, you know, we saw an 85% drop here, we saw an 85% drop here, it's got to happen this time, although nothing else across the board except for time frame. If you're looking at a 4-year time window, you know, that's the only thing that's kind of stayed slightly this, you know, measurable.
You had a very interesting tweet today talking about that 4-year cycle, right? So can you bring that tweet up again? So I want to quote it correctly. And what did you mean by it? What was the behinds of that tweet?
So I was just stating that, you know, I got Twitter right here, actually. You know, pretty much it was just, you know, saying that, you know, what if the 4-year cycle, you know, when you look at the 4-year cycle and you go back, and I know that, you know, there's all kinds of opinions on this, and you got, you know, people like Benjamin Cohen, who have, you know, took a extended cycle theory around it, all things of that nature. And, you know, I was just stating that, you know, what if the 4-year cycle for Bitcoin just really never existed, and we've just been building out a 17 to 20 year cycle similar to all other major markets? Somebody immediately combated that and was like, what if it was just 12 years? You know, could just be 2 6-year cycles. Who knows, right? Because we're just still in the middle of building everything out. But I bring that up because for, you know, a time we spoke of in the past on the stock market and everything of that nature, you know, looking at like the housing market, for example. I don't know if you like pay attention with that, but it tends to have like really like a 17 to 23 year cycle, like has like really dated back, like, you know, almost 200 years at this point. And Bitcoin just is really never, you know, it's brand new. We only have the last 12 years. It just basically came out in 2009, which essentially, if you're following like that, the housing market cycle at all, which whatever, like whether that's, anything of note or not, technically that kind of restarted basically in 2011. So, if you're looking at it as an idea like that, whereas, the markets could basically be all heading for a major, blow off top together at the end of this decade, right? Like 2027, 2028, that would put, Bitcoin in just a first 18-year cycle, something like that. It's just literally an idea, but it would all time out pretty well. And then, the other idea that I was going over, which Magic, kind of brought it up or made me think this way, I guess, when he, presented that deep crab on Bitcoin, because for the 4-year cycle ordeal, right, when you're looking at Bitcoin, this whole last from 2017, nothing about it looks the same as any other time frame. Right, like it's had the Rona dump, the very quick recovery here. I'll pull it up, and I brought it up. And like once again, this is just an idea at this point. This is like literal, just like let's call it Fugazi analysis right now, but just an idea here. But this whole market structure here, which, like I said, Magic has brought up this on his analysis of that deep crab and log scale. When you look back, this is not how what we've seen in the past, right? This whole like W formation right here, it's pretty much just been rounded bottom, explode, run off top. And then it got me thinking. I was like, all right, well, looking at some other things. There's my old $206,000 target. Still is a target there eventually. When you look at this market structure, I was like, where have we seen this else? Like, right, like Bitcoin, everybody really heavily compares Bitcoin to Bitcoin. You're just going off of the previous market structure here. Well, if you want to compare anything, I know somebody's compared, I think like Gareth and somebody else is like often comparing Bitcoin to the Amazon chart with that M top up here. But when I look at this chart, man, all I see is, equivalent to the NASDAQ back here, which once again, just literally an idea, not something to get married to. But if you were to go and cut this puppy right here, right, what you got literally the same W formation, right? If you were like overlay Bitcoin right here, you'd have your 2017 high, your 3K low, 14K, Rona dump, 65K, 69K, weekly back test of the high. And then from here, we just ranged it out, and then we just, basically broke out from there. But obviously that was a long time frame. But when you look at, something like that, it's interesting. It's not something that I would say, okay, this is definitely going to happen, but just an idea of, what we might end up seeing down the road here. And this chop, this sideways range right here is definitely something that if this was to go down on Bitcoin, could you imagine, right? And this would be equivalent of basically, let's just pretend that the 17.5 area was the low, and then we just run it back, like Magic was saying. You run it back to 30, 32, you're going to hit some resistance. You come back down, we're heading back to 22. You go back to 29, 22, 29, 20, for months and months and months. I mean, the amount of over bullishness around that 30K area, the amount of really, fear that's going to come back around these regions if we do come back to it, and everybody's going to be expecting that the 10K, the 12K, the 14K. Those levels are really hyper focused right now. And I don't know, it's just kind of thinking a little different there. But with that being said, kind of going back to the 17 or 18-year cycle that, you might be putting in, it would kind of, align well that Bitcoin could be doing something like that and really have, a continuation for the next couple of years here going into like 25, 26, and then kind of coming down with everything else at some point here.
Yeah, dude, those are great, interesting points. I mean, anything is possible for sure. I mean, who knows, man? This market has existed for such a short period of time. Where it's going to look like Amazon, it's going to look like some other stock. Very possible, right? Like you said, 17-year cycle. Who knows, dude? But if that is true, that means my plan of 2030 is going to have to change. I'm going to have to sell before 2030 because I'm not going to ride it all the way back down a fourth and fifth time. So what are you looking for ETH? What are you looking at in the ETH chart? I know some people in the chat want to talk about Matic. We'll get to that soon, guys. If you haven't smashed the likes, smash the likes. We if you haven't followed Danger Close Alpha, join the Discord. Make sure you're involved. We're giving away 25 whitelist spots tonight on our Twitter space. So make sure you join the Discord to get that link and get involved. But yeah, what are you seeing in the ETH chart?
Just pulling it up here. So for this is something I've been kind of going over in the group as well. And, it obviously everything is depicted on Bitcoin's price action going forward here, right? So
For sure. Yep.
But short term, if we, get this move in Bitcoin or get a move right towards 25, 23, whatever the case is, a 10, 20%, then maybe it's not overnight, but we get a bounce for a few weeks at a time. All the altcoins have put in major ranges, right? So in my opinion at the moment, I would imagine that if we're just going to range it out for Bitcoin for a bit, which, bear market ranges are beastly, right? You remember that, back in the day, you'll see like a 70% run up, and, that could really mean that the altcoins could see some pretty big moves. So I guess I'll back it up here. So ETH, when we were coming down here, right, we were holding this area up here in the chart, and we ended up coming back to this old range from last year. And as soon as we entered it, closed the daily inside there, essentially I was looking for the point of control, and from there you got your range low, right? So during the plunge to 17.5 on Bitcoin, we dipped out. This is on the daily time frame, so we dipped below the range a little bit. Have a couple weeklies below it, but we closed back inside, and we're really hugging this point of control right now. So when you zoom it into just the old previous range that we're in, which is the one I think that we're probably going to live inside for a little bit here, but regardless, this is a pretty decent area here to run it back just up to the EQ is 10% move. Obviously, the whole market as a whole would have to be coming up with that, and then you got the range high all the way back up here about 44% move. And at the end of the day, you really wouldn't be doing much, but running it back, still lower high, right? Hold the whole ordeal, running into this previous resistance here, but this range high right there, 1650 is a big one to watch out for. And it's very possible you don't come out of there. You just kind of range it within here for quite some time. Now that's the old range that we're dancing around in here. And once again, just kind of like have to pair it all up with Bitcoin. But when you look at the current quarter that we're in now, that's about to end here in a few days. Once again, just a massive area, right? So the low came in obviously right here at 880, and in total, it's like 178% window here.
Wow.
And even if if we just run it from the point of control, if this is, once again, it's not saying like, oh, guaranteed everything's just going to have this huge rally, but if Bitcoin does start picking up the pace here, the altcoins have a ton of room to come up. And at the end of the day, we still wouldn't be doing anything but coming up, making lower highs, and just kind of ranging it around. But this is like a really big area that, like, if you have a plan in place, you got a couple major levels coming in here, some high volume nodes, but
and this range is in the quarterly, you said?
Yeah, this is this quarter. So this is going to end here in about 8 days here. So this is it's got a little bit of wiggle room to kind of change a little bit as it is dynamic, it changes over time. But once this closes, it'll be pretty much set, just like the other one I was just showing you here. So this is from last year. So this range won't change going forward. So once we got in there, it was pretty much like a quicksand down to that point of control and that range low. So turning around, running it back up towards this 1647 area, and then ultimately, you got a window here up towards about 2400. But obviously, we taking it level by level, but having a game plan to possibly kind of take advantage of some of these run ups and then look for the the retrace. It's going to be a really hard time though for a lot of people, because that's a really emotional window, right? If anybody's been holding the whole way down for one, if we start getting some pretty big spikes. That the news is going to start coming out, and I think today Binance partnered up with like, Ronaldo or Cristiano.
Yeah, the soccer
like
player.
450 million followers, and all those really, really positive things start coming out, and people start getting doubtful that the market will go back down. They're like, oh, it's going to come back. So we'll see how it goes. But if we do get this range for a while, this could be a pretty big opportunity to honestly, double your ETH, your Bitcoin, whatever the case may be, over the course of time. And then of course, you start breaking your ranges, and we can start looking higher. Matic, I did make a chart today for that, just to kind of go over. That's an old one there. And everybody's asking about Matic. So actually, I'll start with BNB, because BNB, before this news came out today, which is funny, Binance is getting hit with the SEC, investigation, stuff like that, whatever.
Yep.
And it's interesting to note that right before that went down, where are we at? Did I delete it? We had just put this chart up in the group actually, where Binance was pretty much chilling on this cliff. And then just below there, all that there was is pretty much the devil's basement. So just, very similar to how we had a lot of, the coins that really rallied hard, Solana, VeChain, Matic is one of them. BNB, they pretty much had this huge run. Crow, right? So crypto.com pretty much had the same scenario, like really big impulse moves. And then they started coming down and losing this. And when you do, there's really nothing below it. There's a couple of small, there's like a yearly key level maybe coming in right in this region, about like 140. But we really don't want to lose this area of the chart right here for Binance, because it really doesn't have too much below it. So to start seeing Binance kind of come out of this would be of interest. If you wanted to throw on a descending triangle of some degree, that you could do that as well. And obviously that would be looking to break lower, but without even really throwing anything else on, this just, really needs to hold this area. Otherwise BNB is in some trouble. But when I put this in the group, I noted that Matic had the same scenario, and that we needed to pretty much hold on to this quarterly key level. And once again, this is on the daily time frame, so things are a little squished in here, but I pretty much just left on the most important areas here. So same deal, kind of had this really, really large, range put in place last year. I think this is last quarter two of last year, but massive, like a 400% window. Obviously going up, but we came down. We ended up coming right to the not only was it the quarterly range quarterly key level, but you also have your range low coming in here. We did have a slight pit stop right at the point of control for a moment, took out the range low, and then you had that run back up. So right now, holding this daily level right here, coming in pretty much at where we're at. You might get a rejection and come back down towards this point of control, but aside from that, I'd be looking for maybe a run up towards, this 80-cent region over time. And then realistically, the whole market would need to really start picking up the pace again. But you got a yearly key level in the overall golden pocket all the way back up at like $1.80. So Matic's got a lot of room to run. It just might see a pullback in the short term here. And then and then you really don't want to lose that 31 cents though, because then it's devil's basement time. Even for Matic. In the short term, though, Matic does it's looking okay, but it did rally like 70%. So probably not the first thing I'd be running and rushing into, if you're looking to buy something new.
So devil's basement, still a very big possibility, right? We're still talking about these potential lower lows. What do you guys think would cause something like that to occur, for it to break that low? Is there anything in the macro level of economics or anything else that you guys are looking at that would indicate, hey, we're about to break this level? Because how many times can you retest that lower range before you start getting worried that you're going to break it? That's a question. I don't know. Like with the level of your, with support and resistance, normally if you hit support many times, it gets weak. But with your level of TA, your strategy with these range volumes, does that still that concept still valid?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you want to see when you come down to this is you want to see heavy selling. You want to see people like panicking, because in order for someone to fill a large position like a long, they need a lot of sells. So when that occurs, that's actually a nice recipe for a change of hands. You want to see the open interest flipping. You want to see delta changing, and you want to see positive coming into the market, despite heavy selling, and then flipping real time to get that entry. So that's why we always say we don't really preset. Like I have like set buys. Don't get me wrong. I DCA a little bit like anyone else because everybody does it. But for the most part, never take a trade unless I'm at my computer watching it, seeing that the market's confirming what I'm going to be doing. Just like right now, I'm watching it to see if I'm getting a sign of reversal, and I'm not getting that at all. Like I said, sellers just haven't stepped in. Volume can step in ever. So that's why it's important to be paying attention. But if a person was just up here blindly shorting, they'd be sweating because he's even higher, So it is one of those situations where, it's very useful at the bottom of the range. It lets you know immediately if the market's going to confirm that move. And you can watch the open interest. Open interest is confirming that it is taking it up. You can write it up, or you'll see that they're taking profits very quickly. You can actually monitor that as well. So you can see that they're taking profits. You can see the OI coming off, and okay, it's good for me to maybe lock some in now. This might come back down to the bottom of the range, be kind of a weak bounce, and go through it. So, yeah, it's not as complicated as it sounds. It's just something that's different, I think, than what most people are used to.
Yeah, and you guys teach all of this stuff in your Discord and your trading group. So if anyone is interested in making sure that you want to learn this type of TA, be part of this guy's group, make sure you guys check out their links. Their links are down below, and check out their Discord and their YouTube. I believe is Leading Crypto. Correct? That's the YouTube's name, or are you guys just doing separate YouTubes?
Yeah, we have the one.
Okay, yeah. So Leading Crypto, guys. Leading Crypto, go check them out. So somebody wanted to see Sol, right? A lot of people have, Solana is up in the air, like it was talked about like it was the chosen one, and now it seems like the chosen one has really gone to the dark side, and it might not bring balance to the force this time around. So, so what do you guys?
I've been laser focused on Sol, man, for that reason for the last few weeks.
Oh yeah.
It's just one of those. If you want to, I put the chart up here.
Oh, okay, here you go.
But for it's that cliche. As much as a creator or anybody just always is like inclined, especially when things start turning around, everybody starts blaming this and that. It's always like, well, do your own research and not financial advice and da 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 da. 99% of people will never do their own research, right? So that just is what it is. And things like Luna come around, and then somebody somewhere just gets the idea that this could Tron and Solana or whatever is going to be the next Terra Luna, and it's just going to completely collapse and go to zero. And without hesitating, most people will just be like, "Yep, that's what's going to happen," and like that. It just is interesting to note. So the remainder of the market, obviously, everything was kind of taking a hit recently, and then at that same note, that same window, we were coming right into this. You got your range low is major support, right? So you wicked right into it twice. You had this weekly level right here. This was a really big area to really put on some risk. This was on the 14th of June, so what was that, a week ago? And I know that most of the market obviously has bounced back, but to some degree. But this was another one, like 50%, and major target you basically met, right? You run it up to this point of control. That's your natural target in the short term. Probably get catch a little rejection from here, and then realistically the next trade. And this is not even, you don't have to do leverage on these things. I mean, this a 50% move. Even if you would have caught it off the weekly, even if you would have caught it just off the daily close, I mean, you're talking some pretty good, good moves here just on spot. And then from here, you're looking to flip this point of control. You got your golden pocket up here, another daily level in the range high. Obviously, we got the support now back down at the range low. But Solana, to me, I've been watching, this specifically for the last few weeks, just kind of anticipating everybody to kind of give up on it. And then it's as simple as, I don't even know what the news was today or if there was, but something came out or.
I think
there was some excitement that came around it. And it's just that simple to turn everybody's.
Yeah, dude, they're coming out with a phone.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah. Whether that's a good thing or bad thing, I don't know. But that did get a lot of people. That exactly what it was. It was like a Solana phone that I guess you could run your own. And somebody was saying that, imagine shorting a Solana on your Solana phone.
They'll probably halt trading.
Yeah. That's pretty good. But yeah, no, I mean, Solana is just acting as anything else. Is it going to go to zero? I guess anything has got that risk behind it. So you really want to, come up with areas to whether you put on stop losses or not. I know that's another like kind of term that people say often, and nobody does, especially in a spot hold, right? If anybody's like holding, for long term or whatever. Many do not put stop losses in place because, for one, I think it's hard to just kind of dictate. So for the average person, but if you even just like download TradingView for free and come on, to some of these areas and just like even just like this range low, right? Obviously, you need to like know how to identify some of these major areas, but come on in, put an alert there or even beforehand. And help yourself decide, where the market's kind of going when you get back to these levels. If you see Bitcoin just completely, melting to the downside, or you start hearing news of Solana just completely rug pulling and running for the hills, I guess you got to take your chances there. But yeah, I mean, we're pretty much in a pretty big area of support coming on here.
Is that $13 that I see there? If we lose 25, the next key level is $13.
That's the basement, man. That's the basement.
Ooh, man, it's gonna be hot in that basement.
Yeah. So I mean, and every asset though has this opportunity across the board, like at this point, like granted you're at the lows though at the same time. So, you can't just 100% just, and that's the hardest thing for anybody, is that when you come down in these regions, it's like, okay, it's just going to keep going. You see the same thing right now with Bitcoin, right? We're at 20,000, 21,000, whatever it is. And, people are probably biting their tongue or holding their breath, just thinking it's going to go lower. And, will it happen? That's, yet to be seen. But there's so much opportunity across the board. And then whether or not you're just holding from higher, which is another really big majority, right? It's not just be like, oh yeah, this is great to just buy in. Well, most people don't have any more money left. So it's now kind of a time frame where, all right, how can I either, mitigate my risk a bit, and maybe you wait till we reach some of these highs. Maybe we look for Bitcoin to run it up into the 25, 28, 30. And then you maybe take some, some profits, whether that's actual profits or just take more profits than you have right now to that point, and then look to buy in back lower. It could take a week or two before you go back down. But the bear market, man, it goes from aping in and YOLOing to you gotta be strategic, like super strategic now, right? So it is hard. Most people are not going to make it through. But if you come up with a strategy and a plan, it's hard work, man. But it can be done. And there's always another thing too. Like if you do just you sell out of something that you were in and it jumps up another 30%, like there's always something else. Like I literally held XRP up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. I could have like quadrupled my holdings, right? If I would have just took at the same exact levels, man. If it would, every time I went to 60 cents, if I would have sold and bought back in at 30, I would have tripled my XRP, maybe more than that over the course of that run. So it's kind of the idea.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point, dude. People are being savages in the chat, dude, with Solana. Sean goes, will Solana smartphones be down 80% of the time? And
run my network, man.
Mind Your Biz in the house says, no, it'll only let you access 80% of your contacts 20% of the time. So, dude, savage comments for Solana.
Man, the service,
the memes on that are going to be pretty good. I can already tell.
For sure, man. Do you guys think that we're going to have something happen before the end of this year that's going to push the market back up to, not to all-time highs? All-time highs are definitely out the window here. I don't think all-time highs are going to be happening anytime soon. But just a nice, massive relief. And if you do you guys, is it something in the charts that's telling you that, or is there something like macroeconomics? They say, well, if this were to occur, then I could see the markets having a pump to the upside before maybe coming back down again. Anything like that in
where we are. Yeah, just where we are right now, it's pretty bouncy territory. And you've got to think where the most profit lies in terms of the next trade for someone that's got pretty big hands. It's to the upside for the most part. Does that mean? Do I think that would be a catalyst of something? It could be. Maybe they throw us a curveball and they ease up on the rate hikes, and they push the inflation thing down the road like an extra 6 months to a year into like the beginning of 2023. It's very possible that the Fed does that. It's just, but. That be, again, just a relief rally, and it could be glorious. Crypto Weatherman could finally get his melt up, or he could call it that, and everybody's happy.
Yeah, that's a great point. Is that melt up theory? Do you guys see anything melting up anytime soon? Doesn't seem like it.
I would say that to me, I would imagine we're going to get that range, man. To me, that just makes the most sense going in. And the reason I bring that idea up too, which not an idea, I mean, that just would make a lot of sense in this way of jacking people up, because the other thing that, once again, going on the idea that everybody's still looking at Bitcoin versus Bitcoin instead of whatever else, or just in general, just like, analyzing the chart individually there. But that time period where we were at 6K and we, ranged it out there for a while and everybody thought it was the bottom, but it was the old song and dance, and then we dropped another 50%. I really think that we ranged it out for months, man. You're talking like rest of the year, probably. Granted, you got possible run-ups of 20-30% Bitcoin, meaning 100% in some of the altcoins. But you're going to have a little bit of a strategy and say, am I going to take some off the table here and wait for a pullback? Blah 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 blah. But you know, if we ranged it out from 20, you know, 29, 30 back down to 22 over and over and over again, people will probably be expecting that drop, you know, that last capitulation, and it might never come. So that's what I see, you know, foresee coming. But once again, I mean, that's just literally is, you know, a crystal ball, you know, projection there. So we'll see how it goes. But
yeah, those are awesome. Comment. What was that?
Oh, Crypto Billy's commenting on the lighting in my my room here because I told him last time I live in dark mode. I actually took the ceiling light out of my vaulted ceiling. This is the last I'll be at my L-shaped desk in the living room, guys. The office will be ready.
Oh my god! We should get like voice changers and put him in, like make him an anon. Like, oh man,
yeah.
Like, the market makers are manipulating the market, and
that could be a nice segment. Yeah.
Man, that was really a good one. So, guys, always a pleasure having you guys on. I mean, everybody, if you haven't smashed up the likes, smash up the like for these guys. These guys are coming on here every Thursday, putting in hard work to show you guys a lot of great information for free, right? This is for free, guys. Great information. If you guys want to keep learning more and want to get into trading, want to get into learning how the minds of Magic Internet Money and CVO Crypto work when it comes to trading, join their group. You know, they're going to be teaching you. They have great education in there. They have great fundamentals for any beginners. So make sure you jump in there and start to learn. This is the time to learn, right? The bear market. It's the time to learn before the next bull market arrives. So make sure you join in there. If you haven't smashed the like, smash the like. If you haven't joined Danger Close Alpha, I don't know what you guys are waiting for. The time to prepare is now, not later, just like it is when you got to educate yourself for these bear markets and bull markets. So we're having a Twitter space tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern time. We're giving away 25 whitelist spots. Make sure that if you want to get a whitelist spot for this free mint, you jump in there and get involved. So that would be tonight at 9 p.m. Guys, any final words before we close it out?
Nah, man.
I just want to get a voice changer.
Everybody take care. Be safe.
Voice changer for the.
Here's to the Solana cell phone, man. I can't wait to get one. So,
all right, guys. So, like
always,
always,
be the first one to get one. Yeah.
Question everything, trust nothing, and until next time, hodl like it's hot.